Welcome to the Nerdstalgic podcast with your host, the Ginger Bookworm. Nerdstalgic with the Ginger Bookworm. Nerdstalgic with the Ginger Bookworm.
Howdy folks, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Nerdstalgic podcast with me, your host Luke. Hope you're doing well, hope you're all good. No business today, nothing like that. This is going to be a quick fire one. As you can see by the title, I'm going back to my side quest, so it's only going to be a short one. I'm going to try and get it under 30 minutes if I can. So there's a lot to cover today, so I thought I'd just get right into it. So today's topic is on the D23 Marvel and Disney Games Showcase that premiered last night on the Friday the 9th of September. I'm currently recording this on the 10th, which is the Saturday. I watched it live. My initial thoughts, it was a waste of time. I've got loads of other notes of issues that I will get onto near to the end, but my overall thoughts is that it was a real waste of time and there wasn't any real substance there, but we'll get on to that. So as I mentioned, it's going to be a quick one, and there's a lot to talk about, so I'm going to give quick a few mentions to a few things, most of the ones I can talk about the most, and then we'll just sort of go for that. So this is going to be a very side questy, short adventure, quick fire sort of round. So if you're looking for something quick to digest, this is your place to have a quick sort of digest of the updates of what happened at D23 for the video games. There is more to come. There is one to do with Marvel, and there's one to do with Disney Plus and all that. So hopefully, I think that's tonight. So I'll be watching that, and there'll be ones coming out for that soon. There's also going to be a Ubisoft event, so keep an eye out for that one. But anyway, those are all going to come in the next few days. But for now, it's the Marvel and Disney Showcase. So let's get into it. Let's get started, shall we? So, as I mentioned, there are a megaton. A megaton? That's not a word. I've just took megaton and ton and put them together. But there is a megaton. That's more like it, of things that they showed. As I mentioned, some were substance based. Some had no substance whatsoever. But I'm going to go through them one by one. I'm going to give my opinions on the ones that I think are interesting, and then the rest are just fodder. So, first of all, the first thing that they showed was the Tron Identity announcement trailer, which wasn't really a trailer. It was more like a CG sort of few seconds sort of thing. But that being said, I am looking forward to it. From what I've read and what I've heard about that have been announced by the developers themselves, it's going to be like a detective sort of mystery sort of game. I don't know how it plays. I don't know in the terms of gameplay how it will be, but I'm quite looking forward to it. I am a big Tron fan. I love the original movie. I even loved the sequel that they did a couple of years ago. That was Tron Legacy. I've even got hopefully I've got the copy of the game that came out with the movie, which was like a prequel, came out on the 360. So hopefully I'm going to get around to playing that one before this game comes out, and also play that for my movie tie-in series. So keep an eye out for that one. But I am a Tron fan, so I am looking forward to more Tron games. I have played a little bit of the 360 one, as I mentioned, and I enjoyed the gameplay there. So if it's the same sort of style, I think I'll enjoy it. But either way, I'm just happy for more Tron. I would prefer a Tron movie, but we will see what they decide to do. Next one is Illusion Island. This is the Nintendo Switch exclusive. I'll be honest with you, when I saw this, I was quite excited. Even though I don't own a Nintendo Switch, and I am a bit of a, well, I wouldn't say a hater, but I'm not a big fan of Nintendo, to be honest. But even though, I'll be honest, I'd happily get a Nintendo Switch just for this game. It looks like a platformer. You've got Mickey, Donald, and Goofy all together. It's in the style of I don't know if anybody watches it. I'm a big fan of it because I love animation. But on Disney Plus, or even on Disney Channel, I'm sure you get them. It is the new style animation for I was going to say Nickelodeon now, for the Mickey Mouse sort of adventures that they go on. It's kind of like Looney Tunes, Mickey Mouse, like what they used to do in the old days. Have these short sort of episodes that deal with each character. So it looks straight out of a cartoon, and it looks fantastic. I hope eventually it will not be a Nintendo exclusive and it will port over to the other systems. If not, fair enough, but I would happily play that on the Xbox. But I think it for now. I think it fits perfectly. This sort of game, sort of side-scrolling, sort of Castlevania sort of game for a kid style, would work perfectly on a portable device like Nintendo Switch. So I look forward to seeing more about that one, even though I probably won't be able to play it. I look forward to seeing any developments of hopefully it sells well, and then they decide to put it on other consoles. If they do, I am all for it. So next one, we had a Midnight Suns gameplay. Sort of, we saw a bit more of this game. I know this game was meant to come out this year, and then it got delayed till next year. So still a bit bummed out, but I'm quite looking forward to Marvel Midnight Suns. I did a whole sort of huge long form sort of discussion about that. One of the showcases I did, I don't think it was the E3 showcase. I think it was the Game Awards last year. So, oh no, it wasn't the Game Awards because I wasn't doing the podcast last year. I don't know. I do remember talking about it a lot more. I'm really, really excited for this game. Also, they also mentioned for Marvel Midnight Suns that there will be sort of a short, sort of online YouTube sort of a prelude to kind of give you a heads up of to how where when you get around to playing the game, where the story is. So I look forward to seeing that one. Next one, and for me, I think this is where it started to kind of go a bit magoo. It started going a bit downhill. They showed off Marvel Strike Force, which is a mobile game. It wasn't really much. Like, again, this is no substance at all. It was just Red Hulk. And don't get me wrong, I love Hulk. I love the Hulk family. I love all of them. I really, really want Red Hulk in the MCU as soon as possible. And I fingers crossed. I hope that he will be sort of introduced with the Thunderbolts. But I don't play mobile games, so I'm not interested. Really, like you showed me, I was like, you know. So I was happy. I'm glad, if there are fans out there of the mobile game Strike Force, you've got Red Hulk, but apart from that, meh. You know, the next one they showed was Marvel Snap. Again, I wrote a note here. I'm still not interested in card games. The only card game that I'm interested in is Gwent. That's the only card game I'll happily sit and play. I played the hell out of it in Witcher 3. I even bought the game. Well, I say bought. I have the game on my PC. I used to have the app on my phone. I used to have the one to play on my Xbox. So I used to play Gwent a lot, and I enjoy Gwent. I even played a bit. I didn't complete it, but I even played the story version of Gwent that they did. I think it was called The Witcher Tales, Throne Breaker. Really, really good game. Fantastic story. And if you love Gwent, it's right up your alley. There's a lot of choice and consequences. It's a really underrated game, and I highly recommend it. I think it was called Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales, or something like that. But that's the only sort of card game I'll mess with. But anything like that, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in a Marvel card game, anything like that. I feel like I'm a bit. I know it sounds kind of hypocritical because I just admitted to loving and enjoying Gwent, but I just feel like that sort of thing is not for me. I feel like I'm a bit too old for that. I love Marvel and all, but for me, just it's got no substance. Like generally, when it was on, I was literally shouting at my TV, going, "Move on, stop! I'm not interested." That sort of thing. So I was screaming at the TV, being like, "Come on, next one," because I just don't care. Next one was Aliens Descent. We got to see a bit more glimpses of gameplay. Really, really interested in this. This is a top-down sort of a twin stick sort of shooter sort of game. I think from the looks of the gameplay, you can play about 4-player with your friends as well as sort of playing on your own. It kind of reminded me of a game that I played on the 360 arcade, which was called Alien Breed. Some people might know it, some people might not. I don't think most people will know it, but it was there was 3 games in this series. It was called Alien Breed, and it was kind of like a Dead Spacey sort of thing. You was an engineer on a ship, and your job was to kind of find out what happened to the ship, but also reactivate it. And you'd make your way through the ship, and you'd get attacked by aliens, and it would be like a twin stick drop down sort of shooter game. Really, really fun game on the sort of 360 days. So I haven't played a game like that in a very, very long time, so I'd happily play one again. I love the Aliens franchise. I love all my Xenos, so yeah, bring it on. I can't wait for that game to come out. Then we got a glimpse of the Avatar game, which wasn't really. It was an update, but it was an update. Like it was a nothing. It was just, hey, we're still working on Avatar from Ubisoft. That's it. I was like, don't, that's not, you don't need to show us that in a showcase. That's not where you in a showcase you show gameplay, or you bring out developers and you tell a bit more of, you talk about a bit more about it that we haven't already been told or we haven't heard. You don't go, we're working on it, hey, you Avatar, you love it, blue people, hey, like, no, come back when you've got something of substance, otherwise piss off, you know what I mean? So that was an update of nothing. The next one was Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. That was some DLC. So they revealed some new minifigures like Cassian Andor, Reva. There was some other things, some of the other Disney shows. Again, I love the Lego games. But the only thing with me with Lego games is that I don't buy the added characters. I will happily unlock all the characters in the game. I'll happily unlock all the minifigs. I do all the collectibles. I love the Lego games to bits. I just don't feel like I need to buy more minifigs. There are people out there who do, but it doesn't interest me. I'll happily just have the characters, unlock the ones that I can in game, and that's enough for me. So for me, it wasn't interesting, but I guess some sort of Lego fan, the really hardcore Lego fans out there who really, really love the Lego games, then for them it's perfect. There was another one that really, really made me excited because I never played this game, but I liked the TV show when I was young. I only used to watch the reruns because when it was out during the early 90s, so I've been meaning to go back to Disney Plus to give it a watch. But there was a video game out in the early days, and it was the Gargoyles. Gargoyles, yeah, Gargoyles. Anybody remembers the Gargoyles? It was again gargoyles that came to life. They were like dragons with wings, and they would fight crime. Absolutely fantastic show. I haven't watched it since I was really, really young, so I don't remember any of the names. But they're doing a remaster of the game, so that should be interesting to play. Like, I really, really want to get around to playing the DuckTales game remaster that they made for the 360. It's currently backwards compatible on the Xbox One, so I am looking to getting that one and giving that one a play because I missed it ages and ages ago. So I'll get around to that one. But yeah, Gargoyles game remaster looks interesting. Only showed a quick glimpse of like a small, like 2-3 seconds of gameplay. So nothing of substance. Again, it's great. I'm excited for it, but again, no real substance. The next one was the Disney Mirrorverse update, and again, another mobile game. Not interested. Meh. They're bringing in Hades, and yeah. Next one was which I hate the name of this. I think it's the one of the most stupidest. It's a terrible name for any racing game, especially a Disney game. But it was another sort of gameplay sort of trailer sort of announcement for Disney Speedstorm. Ugh, I hate that name. Ugh. Anyway, despite me not liking the name, it's a kart racer. Again, as you would imagine with any sort of advertised sort of kart racer, it's going to be all Disney characters. So we saw Jack Sparrow, Mike Wazowski. There was trying to think who else we saw. Oh God, Randall was in there from that. You had Moana was driving. I think Sleeping Beauty was one of them. To be honest, what you can imagine, there'd be a huge roster of different sort of Disney Pixar sort of characters. I take the piss out of the name because I hate the name. I really do like racing games. I love a kart racer. Any sort of kart racers, I'll happily play them. There's a few on the 360 that I've got to get and give a go. I've heard some of them are good, some of them are quite bad, but it's all great content, and I love a good kart racer anyway. So help me help you. More stuff for you, and more stuff for me. And it's all at the end of the day. If the game's crap, achievements are great. But I'm looking forward to this one. The only thing that bothers me about Speed Force, apart from the name, is the sort of the cars look a bit rigid. They look a bit heavy. They don't look like you can kind of whip them around, drifting, that sort of thing to get your boosts. Whenever I sort of rate a kart racer, I always rate it to the standard of Mario Kart, and if it's like on the level of Mario Kart, that's what I judge it off. At the moment, it looks good. It looks pretty. It's made by Gameloft, and they've made a lot of racing games in the past. But one thing that obviously, until I get my hands on the game, I can't really say for sure. But I've seen from the gameplay, the karts look a bit rigid, and that's kind of, it feels like that's a make or break in a kart race. So if the cars are too heavy and too rigid, it just doesn't work. So I hope that I'm wrong, and that's just it's just, I have to wait and see till I play the game. But it looks interesting. But please, 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 somebody from Disney's probably will never hear this, but if somebody ever in Disney hears this, please change the name. The name sucks. Speed Force. Honestly, just Speedstorm, even Speedstorm. Just stop it, Anyway, so the next one, this one, I'm actually quite excited for. It's already out if you've got Game Pass, but it's Disney's Dreamlight Valley. This is a game that I've when it was announced it came to Game Pass. I pre-downloaded it. I've got it's currently in I think beta form on Game Pass. It's not officially released yet, so if you got Game Pass, you can play it. It's kind of like The Sims and Animal Crossing meet Disney and Pixar. I've heard nothing but great things. All the people that I've talked to who've played it say it's fantastic. All the reviews of people playing it again have said the same thing. It's not what you think. It's actually better than you think. So it gives me a lot of hope, and hopefully get round to it one day and giving it a go. I've got loads of games to play and a lot of reviews and stuff to do for you folks. So I might not get round to it anytime soon. But when I do, I'll let you know my impressions. Follow me on Twitter at Nerdstalgic_pod, and you'll hear about my impressions there. But from what they showed, they were just doing the trailer. Obviously, if you got Game Pass, it's free on Game Pass, but it's not released yet. So if you want to play it before anybody else, by all means, get yourself Game Pass and give it a go. It looks really, really good, and I can't wait to give that a go. Next, you had Avatar Reckoning. I was excited for this, and then until they said it was an online MMO, and I was like, fuck off. Generally, I'm not interested. Like, I don't play online MMO games. I used to, but I just, I'm not interested. It's just I'd rather play on my own. I don't really have many friends on the Xbox as it is. And I guess you could be like, oh well, you could play, make friends online. Yeah, I could, but I'd rather play on my own. So I'm not interested. I love Avatar, but I'm not in. Yeah, like, don't be wrong. Like, I understand that the new Avatar movie is coming out soon, and they want to kind of play on that IP, and they want to sort of bring out, because there was an Avatar game that came out with the release of Avatar on the 360, and you could play as the Na'vi, and you could play as the humans, and you could play the two different storylines. I quite liked it. It didn't have great reviews, but I quite liked it. And I thought it was quite interesting. And you would think how big Avatar was, that there would be more Avatar games, especially on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. But it only took quite recently to the next Avatar movie, I think that comes out this year, that companies are starting to actually bother to actually make sort of Avatar games. I am looking forward to, because we mentioned it earlier, the Avatar one made by Ubisoft. I'm looking forward to it. I would presume, because the Avatar sort of event showcase is tonight, I think that they were saving it for the Ubisoft to announce more. So if they do, again, you'll hear about it, because I will be doing a special side quest about the showcase. Most likely it'll be coming out tomorrow, Sunday. Depends on if I am writing it, if the showcase is tonight. But yeah, this Avatar Reckoning, I'm not sure who it's by. I don't think it's by Ubisoft, but it's an online MMO. So if that interests you and you like Avatar, great. For me, it's all hokey. I'm not interested. Then this one, for me, stole the show. This was the announcement that came out of the blue, but I was incredibly excited for it. It got me hyped, and it kind of revitalized my hope that this showcase wasn't a bust. It was a sort of cinematic sort of trailer for the new Captain America sort of game, but it's also got Black Panther, so it's like a Black Panther sort of Captain America, a game made by Amy Hennig. Anybody who knows by Amy Hennig will know that she made the Uncharted games. She was also at one time or another working with Respawn to do a Star Wars game, but EA cancelled that game. That game was meant to have like a smuggler. Luke, get your words out. Meant to have a smuggler set in the Star Wars universe, but that game was cancelled, so now she's been moving on to Marvel. But I've been saying for ages, I want more sort of linear, single-player Marvel games. Like, I love the Avengers game. It had its foibles, but I enjoyed it. But I want a more single-player sort of Marvel game. I want a single-player Captain America, a single-player Iron Man, because back in the day when, movie tie-ins was a big thing, you had the single player Captain America game, which I've been trying to find, but is incredibly expensive. Like, I would have to sell a kidney to actually own it. The Captain America had one, Thor had one, Iron Man had two games. I think they're all made by Capcom, because I think Capcom had the license at the time. But I want more sort of like standalone games. We haven't had them for a very, very long time, so I want the more sort of standalone games. I think that would be interesting. So we don't know much about it. All we know, it's set during the 1940s. Hydra, Nazis. For somehow Captain America's sort of journey overlaps with Black Panther's journey, but it's not the Black Panther that we know. It's not T'Challa. It's T'Challa's grandfather. So it's going to be a different Black Panther. It's going to have the Dora Milaje, one of the leaders of the Dora Milaje is going to be there as well as another one of the soldiers, part of Captain America's Howling Commandos, is going to be there. It sounds really interesting. If it's going to be in the vein of Uncharted, it's going to be a linear sort of single player sort of game. I'm here for it. Can't wait. Excited. I was hyped. I still am hyped. I'm still that for me, that revitalized. Like, this showcase wasn't a bust, and then they showed the last thing. Like when I get around to my issues part, I will expand it more. But the last thing that they showed was Marvel World of Heroes, which is basically a Pokemon Go style app phone game, and I was like, meh. And then it ended. The whole showcase ended. Like, thank you for showing us. We're gone. It started at 9, and it ended 23 minutes later. So it was like 23 minutes long, the showcase. It wasn't even 30 minutes. They still had time to throw more things in, but they didn't. But yeah, that's the showcase. That's what they showed. As I mentioned, majority is shovelware, and the parts that are shovelware are the mobile game shit crap. I don't give a crap. I don't care. My phone is a tool. I use my phone for podcasting, for social media, and a little bit of socializing. Apart from that, it's a tool. I use it for audiobooks and stuff like that. I don't play games on it anymore. So like, for me, the whole sort of, to me, Disney really shot themselves in the foot here. They had the opportunity, because I'll get onto the issues part now, because I'm kind of overlapping. But one of the major issues for me, before this event started, they did a huge sort of trailer, right, showing up all the Marvel games. So they showed, like, bits of the Spider-Man 2 trailer, and they showed bits of the Spider-Man game on Sony, the first one. They showed the CGI trailer for Wolverine. They showed bits of the Star Wars game, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. They showed a bit of the other Star Wars game, the Eclipse, I think it was called. They showed all these things. It was kind of like luring you in, being like, we're going to show more Star Wars stuff. We're going to show more Marvel stuff. I was kind of hoping for some, Wolverine gameplay, or a bit of, behind the scenes of what they're planning for doing for that game, or like a Deadpool 2, making, because Deadpool's coming back for the MCU. Maybe they're going to make another Deadpool game, or I don't know, another Star Wars game, or we're going to see some gameplay of Star Wars Survival. Like, that was my hope, and that's what got me hyped, because I thought, oh, this is Disney, it's going to be Marvel, it's going to be amazing, it's going to be the time for you to shine, and they blew it. It's kind of like they showed you a lollipop, and they offered you the lollipop, and as soon as you went to go grab that lollipop, they pulled it back, licked it, and threw it in the bin, and I was like, haha, you can't have it, it's in the bin now, covered in germs. It really annoyed me, really, really annoyed me, because they give you a glimpse of, like, you want it, you can't have it, want it, can't have it, and you're like, why are you blue ballsing me? Why are you teasing me? If you're not going to show it, then don't tease me with it. Just show what you've got to show, but don't hype me up for things that you said you were, you hinted of maybe showing, but you didn't. You know what I mean? It was just DLC and updates mostly, and a few world exclusive first looks. So that annoyed me, right? So, as I mentioned, like, there was Star Wars, but it wasn't really Star Wars. It was just an update to Lego Star Wars, really. So there was no other Star Wars games. There was no Indiana Jones, because there's an Indiana Jones game being made by Bethesda, by Todd Howard, by Machine Games. There was nothing there was no Indiana Jones. There was no talking about that. I was really looking forward to that, because I haven't played an Indiana Jones game since the original Xbox, right? And that was like 2005. That was a long time ago. Okay, so I'm looking forward to another Indiana Jones game. New Indiana Jones movie coming out, I think, next year or the year before, year after. I mean, so bit of indie game. No, okay. So no Indiana Jones, no Star Wars. Wow, no No word on any other Marvel projects. That kind of annoyed me. I'm going through my notes now. It was only 23 minutes long, not even a full 30, and too many mobile games. Like, just going through my notes, because I wrote, I the big words, issues, exclamation point, underlined, and was going through my notes. But like, yeah, like there's so many problems. No Star Wars games, no indie, no word on other Marvel projects. Only 23 minutes long. They put too many mobile games, too many updates, too many DLC updates. No real sort of substance. The only game really, the only games I would say are actually worth my time and worth your time would probably be Tron Identity, Illusion Island on the Nintendo Switch, Marvel Midnight Suns. So that's one, two, three. Aliens Descent. Maybe depend. Well, actually, I'll still count it because hopefully, fingers crossed, Ubisoft will talk a bit more about it. So I would say the Avatar game by Ubisoft. Right, so that's five. The Gargoyles game, which is six. I won't even class the Speedstorm because I can't class that till I played it. I can't say if it's good or not. The Captain America game. So that's about seven things out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 things, they've shown. So it, this whole sort of showcase, it was a sponge cake with no flavor, right? It was a sponge cake with nothing. On the outside, it was all plickety plow, beautiful, fluffy, creamy, delicious. Oh, I love it. And then you cut into it, and it's just full of dust. Or you cut into it, and you bite into it, and it's got no flavor whatsoever. It's a sponge cake with no flavor. It is depressing. It is sad. It is no substance whatsoever, right? And that's what this showcase was. It was a lot of nothing, a whole lot of nothing. And I was really looking forward to it because I love D23. Every year I watch it for the past 3 years. They've been doing it now. I've watched it, enjoyed it. I think this is the first time they've actually done a games event. And if I'm right about that, which I think I might be, then okay, fair enough. If this is their first game event, they're still learning the ropes. All I can say is hopefully next year they'll have more to show and they'll realize that they can't do a showcase that's only 23 minutes long. One of the annoying parts was that we at home, the people who watched it live, only got the 23 minutes, but Jeff Keighley, who is a sort of games journalist, he hosts the Game Awards and that sort of thing. He was there at the event at D23. So when it went blank for us and the kind of conversation ended, he was posting video footage of people coming out for certain games, of the Tron game. Amy Hennig came out with her team for the new game that they're doing for the Captain America. And they came out and they talked about these games more in depth, and he recorded a bit of it. And I thought, I wouldn't have minded, right, if you did the showcase ended, and then you cut to having the developers on stage and the developers talking about each game, because I like that. I'm a game design background. I did it in university. I love that kind of stuff, the nitty gritty, what goes into making video games, the thought process of how video games are made and changes and in development and stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff. I'm a nerd for that. That is my honey. That's my nectar. That's what I'm attracted to. But they didn't, and I thought that's again another missed opportunity. Like, I get it, like if you're there, you get the exclusives, but they could have at least been give us something, give us a bit more sit downs and talking to developers, kind of like what Xbox do and Sony does. You show the gameplay and you get to, then the developers talk about it for a bit. Yes, it can be a bit cheesy and it can be a bit sort of play acted, but it's still quite interesting because we learn a bit more. So again, it's their first ever go. It's their first ever time doing a showcase, so I can't really sit here and dog on them too much. But I just hope for more. Fingers crossed, as I mentioned, that the Ubisoft one, if I am right, it's tonight and it's better than this one, and we get a bit more sort of information. But I'll let you know when that one pops up, and I'll be doing a showcase on that one, preferably, hopefully, out soon. So yeah, that was a Disney showcase. A whole lot of nothing. Very disappointing. For the games that were shown, only a few interest me. But yeah, what can you say? It's their first go, I think. And yeah, well, that was it. So I'm going to go off to the end. and end it quite nicely. So let's go to the end, shall we? Let's get this over and done with. So yeah, that is all she wrote. That is the end of the line, as they say. As I mentioned, the showcase was meh, whole lot of nothing. I gave it the that was everything I mentioned was everything there, so you don't have to watch it. You don't have to kind of waste your time like I do. I do it so you don't have to, as they say. But yeah, like I don't know if you agree or disagree. If you like the showcase, you thought it was a good thing, or if there was things in there that you liked or didn't like, or you was interested in, then by all means let me know on Twitter at the Nerdstalgic podcast. Well, just all Nerdstalgic get words out. Nerdstalgic_pod on Twitter, or just type in the Nerdstalgic podcast and you'll find me there. Both one work. Also, if you're listening, you can find this podcast on Spotify. You can find me on Anchor. You can find me on Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts. You can also find me on YouTube. Just type in the Nerdstalgic podcast on YouTube. Look for my flaming face, and you'll find me there. And if you're listening on Spotify, don't forget to give me a star rating. Just go below, click on the stars. You get given an option between 5 stars and 1 star. 5 stars being the best thing you ever heard in your life. 1 star is Vogons doing poetry. Absolutely terrible. Don't want to hear any more of it because your ears are bleeding. Whatever you feel like is fair, 1 to 5, let me know. It will help me greatly. And yeah, that is all she wrote. This was only going to be a short one, a little short side quest. And I hope you enjoyed it. So, as always, thank you for listening to the Nerdstalgic podcast. I greatly appreciate you and your time. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one. All right, guys. Cheerio.